This story didn't begin with a headline or a breaking news banner. It began quietly, in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday morning, when concern had settled into a heavy stillness around Savannah Guthrie. With public updates paused and uncertainty lingering, people were left filling the silence with speculation. Then Drew Barrymore, on the edge of 51 and deeply reflective in this season of her life, shared something privately that reframed the moment. It wasn't an expose or a revelation meant to shock. It was perspective, earned through years of self-work, motherhood, and hard-won emotional clarity. Drew spoke not as a celebrity, but as a woman who recognizes familiar patterns in others. What she offered wasn't about events or timelines, but about inner lives, about how a person learns to survive through strength, and what happens when that strength is tested by circumstances that refuse to be controlled. Drew Barrymore's lens on motherhood and healing. Drew has never hidden her own complicated history with her mother, and that honesty has sharpened her empathy. Over the years, she's learned to recognize how early family dynamics echo through adulthood, especially under stress. When she spoke about Savannah, it wasn't from casual acquaintance, but from shared conversations about parenting, pressure, and public life. Drew described Savannah as someone shaped by devotion and discipline, raised with deep love that was expressed through expectation. In Drew's view, this kind of upbringing doesn't create distance, it creates intensity. The bond is strong, but it carries weight. Love becomes something you respond to with effort, not rest. Drew wasn't criticizing this dynamic, she was contextualizing it. She saw how it produced competence, reliability, and grace, while also quietly teaching that composure is the price of belonging. Love that was expressed through strength. According to Drew, Savannah grew up in a household where resilience was the highest value. Care was present, but it was paired with the belief that toughness was protection. If you were strong, you would be safe. If you were prepared, you wouldn't fall. Savannah absorbed that lesson fully. Over time, strength became her native language, the way she showed gratitude and love in return. Drew emphasized that this wasn't about emotional coldness. It was about survival skills passed down with good intentions. The challenge is that when strength becomes the primary measure of worth, there's little room left for softness. Savannah learned to handle fear quietly and solve problems efficiently. That pattern followed her into adulthood, shaping how she leads, how she parents, and how she responds when life becomes overwhelming. Drew's insight helped explain why Savannah's public presence feels steady, even when circumstances are deeply unsettling. Why silence can be a form of control. One of the most striking points Drew made was about silence. In moments of stress, some people speak quickly to release emotion. Others wait. Savannah, Drew suggested, belongs firmly in the second group. She was taught to pause, assess, and then respond with intention. Silence, in this framework, isn't avoidance, it's preparation. Drew noted that Savannah's measured responses reflect a belief that words matter most when they're controlled. Speaking too soon can feel like weakness. Waiting can feel like strength. This approach can be incredibly effective professionally, but emotionally it can be isolating. When the world expects visible distress and instead sees composure, misunderstandings follow. Drew's perspective reframed that silence not as detachment, but as discipline. Savannah isn't absent. She's bracing herself in the only way she knows how. Composure as a learned reflex. Drew described Savannah's calm not as a performance, but as muscle memory. When pressure mounts, Savannah doesn't ask how she feels. She asks what needs to be done. That reflex was trained early and reinforced often. In Drew's words, Savannah learned that maintaining control was a form of respect, both for herself and for those watching. This explains why her public statements feel precise and deliberate. They're not lacking emotion, they're containing it. Drew recognized this pattern immediately because she herself had to unlearn the opposite, chaos masquerading as honesty. Watching Savannah hold herself so tightly stirred something in Drew, not judgment, but concern. She saw a woman who knows how to endure anything, yet may struggle to let herself be held by others when endurance is no longer enough. The cost of always being the strong one. Strength is admired, but it isn't free. Drew spoke openly about the toll that constant composure can take over time. When you are always the reliable one, people stop checking in. When you never fall apart, no one knows when to catch you. Savannah's strength has earned her trust and respect, but it may also limit the support she receives. Drew worried not about Savannah's ability to function, but about her ability to rest. In moments of deep uncertainty, allowing yourself to feel can be as important as staying composed. Yet if vulnerability was never rewarded early on, it can feel dangerous later. Drew's reflection wasn't pessimistic, it was compassionate. She saw Savannah as someone carrying a lifetime of expectation alongside present concern, and she hoped others would recognize that quiet strength can still be heavy. A different kind of mother, with her own children. One hopeful note Drew shared was about Savannah as a parent. She described a softness there, a deliberate openness that contrasts with how Savannah was raised. With her own children, Savannah allows emotion to exist without correction. Tears aren't treated as problems to solve, but experiences to move through. Drew believes this is intentional. Savannah understands, perhaps better than most, how deeply early messages linger. By giving her children permission to be imperfect, she's quietly reshaping the legacy she inherited. That doesn't mean rejecting her past, it means integrating it with greater compassion. Drew saw this as evidence of growth, not conflict. Savannah isn't trapped in old patterns. She's negotiating them. Even now, under pressure, that awareness remains part of her, offering a path forward when the moment allows. Seeing the person. Behind the poise, Drew's central hope in sharing her perspective was simple, that people would look again with softer eyes. Savannah Guthrie isn't withholding emotion. She's managing it according to rules she learned long ago. Understanding that doesn't require agreement, only empathy. Drew wasn't asking for sympathy or spectacle. She was asking for patience, for space, for recognition that people show pain differently, and that composure can coexist with fear. When someone has built their life around being dependable, asking them to unravel publicly is asking too much. Drew wanted others to see Savannah not just as a public figure navigating a difficult season, but as a daughter shaped by love, expectation, and an enduring desire to do right by those who mattered most to her. Holding space instead of demanding proof. In the end, Drew's message was less about Savannah and more about how we respond to one another. When someone is strong, we often assume they don't need care. When they're composed, we assume they aren't hurting. Drew challenged that assumption gently. She reminded those listening that worth isn't measured by endurance, and love doesn't have to be earned through performance. Whatever unfolds next, Savannah will need understanding more than analysis. Not pressure to react a certain way, but permission to exist as she is. Capable, yes, but also human. Drew shared this not to change the story, but to deepen it. To remind us that behind every steady voice is a person who learned long ago that strength was love's language, and is still learning that love can speak more softly too.